Yes, you read that title correctly. I lost my job. I was actually laid off a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to process my thoughts and emotions before sharing this and decided that I wanted to share it just because I've been seeing a lot of people on social media who have also lost their jobs, friends in my personal life that have lost their jobs. So maybe this might be helpful to you if you've gone through something similar or you're going through this right now, because I think I'm in a pretty positive mental space. And I want to explain what happened, what I'm doing now, and how I'm doing. So, first off, let me start by explaining I am an attorney. I work for a company, or worked for a company, I guess, in their legal department. I work remote from home. I have always worked for a company. I've never worked in a law firm. The company that I was at was a pretty small startup. It had a very fast culture to it, and they had gone through several, I want to put in quotes, like mass layoffs throughout my year and a half with them. So I knew that the org structure wasn't necessarily stable by any means. And that's a little bit of a risk when you go to a startup, is just that they're constantly changing things. They're figuring out how the company works. They're trying to get to be maybe revenue positive. There's a lot of factors that are involved as they figure out headcount and what they really need and what they don't need. Another thing you should probably know if you are new to my channel or haven't been keeping up, I was on maternity leave and just got back from maternity leave before this happened. I was probably working for like, I don't know, 3 or maybe a little bit more, 3 or so weeks before this happened. And I just felt like I knew something was off when I was on maternity leave. I did receive a very nice baby gift from work while I was on leave, which was very, very nice of them. I had a great maternity leave package. I was able to take 14 weeks. It was fully paid, so I am beyond appreciative that I was able to do that, and this didn't happen while I was on leave or anything. Of course, there's probably some issues with firing somebody when they're on maternity leave, so that was probably a factor. And then another piece that's important to know is the day I was going on maternity leave and meeting with my manager and saying, bye, see you in a few months, she actually told me that she was leaving the company for another opportunity. So when I came back, she was going to be gone. There was just change happening in general as I was going on maternity leave. I offered and said I'd be more than happy to jump in on the interview process if you're hiring somebody new, which they did end up doing. And I was never taken up on that while I was on leave. So that felt just like a little bit weird to me. But my manager that I had that close relationship with, who would have been the one to reach out to me, wasn't there. So it was only somebody a level above them. She's very busy and we didn't have as close of a personal relationship. So I felt like maybe that was the reason that they didn't reach out to me. But again, I just had this off feeling my entire leave. I came back and there just wasn't a lot of work to do. I had work to do and was obviously working, but it just didn't feel overly busy and I didn't feel as needed as I felt before. And I think the thing about going on maternity leave is you're either going to be greatly missed, or you also kind of run the risk of the company realizing like, hey, I think we can figure this out without this person. This role maybe isn't necessary. And so I also want to be clear, they made it clear to me, and as I explain this, you'll understand, it wasn't just a me thing. It wasn't like I was fired for performance reasons or anything like that. The company had another round of a quote unquote mass layoff where they laid off a pretty significant percentage of the company. And what they did was, and a lot of companies will do this, and this is how they've done it in the past, they send out kind of this like emergency, all hands, full company-wide meeting invite. And I had previously scheduled PTO for 2 days. I was with my family and was taking PTO when that invite came through. It came in late at night and the meeting was for like first thing in the morning. I think they don't want to give people a lot of warning or make them really nervous. So I did not attend that meeting because I was on PTO. And apparently that meeting was explaining to the entire company how they were going through some restructuring and they were talking about financial health of the company and all of that. And so I got a text from the general counsel of the company. That's the highest legal position that a company typically has. And she said, you know, I know you're on PTO. I hate to bother you, but I wanted to let you know this meeting happened, and unfortunately your position has been impacted. And the first feeling that I had was kind of just like at peace with it. I don't want to say I expected this by any means, but I also kind of expected it. As I explained before, I just wasn't that busy. I felt like I wasn't needed. So it makes sense that the company felt like they didn't need me in that role. And to be honest with you, I felt kind of weird that I felt so okay with the situation. Since I was with my family, my whole family, and like my grandparents were like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I'm so worried about Sophie. And everyone seemed more stressed than I felt. So you may have seen that I previously partnered up with BetterHelp, which is an online platform where you can receive mental health services and online therapy, and had been using them already when this happened. And I thought this was the perfect opportunity to schedule another session with my therapist online that I've been working with. They are so quick to respond. You can send them messages on the platform, and you can either have like a face-to-face over the computer meeting, you can have a phone call, or you can chat with them. So I chatted with her, I let her know what was happening and the fact that I wanted to talk through it. And I want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video again. I am clearly using their services and think it is so incredible, and didn't realize how much I was going to need it. I previously thought I was going to use it kind of as this transition back to work and dealing with all of the emotions that come with leaving your baby behind when you go back to work, and I am now using it for a different purpose. And it just goes to show that so many things can happen in your life, and it's great to have this readily accessible at your fingertips, because I know going to see a therapist in person, it's not as easy to schedule. You might have to drive there. So I've just been really impressed with all of the services. So I think that helped me work through my emotions and work through the fact that it's okay to feel okay with this happening. When I got the text from my new boss's boss, she then let me know that I was going to be having a meeting with HR. They did kind of an exit interview wrap up. They honestly gave me a great severance package and a lot of other really nice benefits that I have been trying to take advantage of. And I don't want to go into too many details about the financials of it and all of the benefits that they're offering, but they do assist with things like Cobra. Because of the state that I live in, I get paid out for unused PTO. And they also had a nice benefit where they have a company that you can work with for, I believe it's 3 months, that's career coaching, and they help you work through all of these things too. So they're not therapists by any means, but you can talk through your career goals with them. They can review your resume, which is just a really great benefit. And I just felt like I left on the best terms that I could have left on. My boss's boss, the general counsel, offered to be a reference for me, offered to send up my resume places. She offered to even help me negotiate my next salary if I get an offer and want her help. So in terms of leaving a company and losing my job, I felt like it was the best case scenario, if that's possible. And again, I didn't take it personally because I felt like I wasn't needed. And I know that it wasn't just me being terminated that day. There was a significant amount of other employees that were also being terminated. So that was kind of the situation of how it happened. My personality, if you know me at all and you've been following me, I am hyper productive, and my first gut instinct is just to get out there. And I didn't even let myself fully process what had happened. I instantly was updating my resume. I turned my LinkedIn profile to available for work or seeking positions or whatever it is where recruiters can see you. I had my family look at my resume, and I started applying like crazy. I think I had 40 applications sent out in the first few days. I luckily had a recruiter reach out to me too, I think from turning that part on my profile saying I was open to work the day after I lost my job. And I think this company might be a really good fit for me. They have quite a few rounds of interviews, and I think I've already gone through 5 steps in their process. And I have 3 more interviews set up with them tomorrow, actually. And basically, from the day I got terminated, there was the rest of that day. And then after that, I got terminated on a Thursday. And then from that Friday moving forward, basically this entire time, I have had another interview to look forward to scheduled on the books, except for the beginning of this week. And I will tell you, there's a huge difference with how you feel mentally and emotionally when you have an interview that you're looking forward to and you have a couple of different companies that you are looking at and are looking at you, versus just like sitting there and waiting for the next step in the process and not knowing like, okay, am I in the middle of interviews with 4 companies or 0 and I should really start to panic. But like I said, I have 3 more interviews tomorrow. I have another one on Tuesday, and then I have a couple other companies where they have said that they will reach out to schedule interviews. So I'm feeling pretty positive about the fact that I will find a job. I'm just hoping it's going to be the right job for me. And I want to take another step back because I know I'm a full-time attorney, and you might be sitting here thinking like, okay, you have this YouTube channel though. What about doing that? Your kids are in daycare. Yes. So I've also been thinking through all of that. Do I want to still be a full-time attorney? Is this a sign that maybe I want to be a stay-at-home mom and do YouTube part-time? I've been thinking through all of that, but in the meantime, I'm still applying. So I want to keep all of my options open. I don't want to have this time where I'm thinking through things and then make the decision. I want to keep practicing law for a little bit longer, and then all of a sudden I have had a month go by and I'm just starting to send out applications because this process is so long. I can always say no to a company if I get an offer and I've worked through that point. With the kids being in daycare, if you have kids in daycare, especially a daycare that's kind of competitive to get into, which our kids are at one of those daycares, if you pull them out, you're not getting them back in. And I have some friends that have gone through this as well, and it's so incredibly difficult because daycare is very expensive. I also would love to spend time with my kids when I'm at home and I'm not working. And especially like my newborn, I went through so many emotions sending him to daycare in the first place. And now I'm not even working and could be watching him. So that's probably been the most difficult part emotionally. And I have decided, and we've decided, that we're financially fine with keeping them in daycare while I figure this out. Again, I had a nice severance and all of that stuff. So it's still kind of as if I'm getting paid right now, even though I know I'm not. And to be honest with you, I have been treating getting a job like it's my job. I have been working so hard on these applications. I've been having tons of interviews, which I know I'm really lucky to have because a lot of people send out blind resumes and never hear back. And that is the case for me as well. And the best mental space I can be in when I'm sending out these applications is I have zero shame in sending out an application for a job that says they want somebody who has 9 years experience. And let's say I have 7. I don't care. The worst thing they can do is say no. And they're not saying no to me. They're saying no to a piece of paper. I don't have any shame in that whatsoever, which has helped me probably get so many interviews because I am just mass applying to anything that I feel like is somewhat interesting to me and might be a good fit. I've also been using this time to get personal affairs in order. I've been working on sophisticated organization and my small business and YouTube channel and stuff like that. I can share more on other things I'm doing if it ends up working out, but I've tried to increase some other streams of revenue and bring in some more money for our family that way while I'm not working. And I think something kind of fun to do on this journey would be to share like a YouTube video, a day in the life of not working, so you know what I'm doing and how I'm spending my days, because somehow they are jam-packed without me working. I am filling this time and, like I said, getting stuff done around the house. And like I said, getting all of this stuff done. So I kind of feel like our house is finally in order right now. Things feel good on a personal level, and I do think things are promising on the job front. So I'll make sure to keep you all updated with how things are going. If you have any specific questions about this process and what I'm going through, leave them in the comments below. I will do this day in a life video and show you how I'm spending my days and how I'm trying to be as hyper productive as possible even though I'm unemployed. Part of me was like, I don't need to share this on YouTube. It's kind of personal. It's not really related to my channel, but I share so much on Instagram stories and here with you that I felt like I didn't want to be disingenuous, that I was pretending like I was working and I'm really not. So I wanted to open up for that reason. And again, like I said at the beginning, just because I'm hoping this is potentially helpful for somebody out there that might be going through something similar. That is it for today's video and crazy life update. Stay tuned for more to see what direction I take my life in and where we go from here. So thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, I will see you all later.